and after 9/11. I'm not going to say a whole lot. I have more in this video right here. Destiny, 21st Century, the Islam Connection. And in it I give you a lot of prophetic Bible information of what's actually happening now. I do that also on the other Destiny 21st Century video that we have out. Again, our booth is the second aisle, first major aisle, and it's called Discerning the Times. Are we about ready? You give me a countdown when you're ready. While we're talking about it, The Birth of World Government is my newest publication. Like I said before, I'm coming out with a new book in about 3 months. But this gives you a lot of what we're talking about here today. The detailed information as to what's going on behind the scenes that you probably have no idea of what's going on behind the scenes because it's not being told to us by our popular press.
Right. Our controlled press. Our
controlled press, right. The final steps to the New World Order is another area where you can get what's going on today. That's for sale too. Both these videos are 2.5 hours. And then this one, the final countdown to UN World Government, will go into what I'm just about to launch into right now.
It's a little off the subject, but what do you think about the chemtrails?
The chemtrail issue is one of the things that I have not looked into. I have to make a decision. What am I going to put my time into? I followed up enough with HAARP to realize that it's very possible. You know, I'm not a physicist, so I can't say for sure. But I've studied it enough to realize that what HAARP is doing is imitating the solar flux and so forth coming off the sun. And therefore, what they're trying to do is create the situation, because if I had time, I'd go into global warming, and global warming is not caused by you and I, but by the sun through its solar flux, the 11-year solar cycle and so forth, and the longer year 120-year cycle. We're recovering from a little ice age in the 1700s when they had no sunspot activity at all for a couple hundred years, and now we're having more and more, and so we're having more and more warming. It's interesting that if the sun puts out more and more energy, the earth warms up more and more. You know, it's yeah. But that is, HAARP does parallel exactly what the sun is doing in the ionosphere. Therefore, without being a physicist, it seems like it's technically possible.
George Bush claims to be related to the Queen of next week. We have microphones. We're going to do question and answer. Do it on the microphones up there.
Okay. Are we ready? Okay, let's go. If you look up here, the Soviet or the Russian Chinese factions right here are also playing a footsie game, and they played a very serious one in the year 1999-2000. Now, I'm going to talk about that for a little while in just a moment. What happened on 9/11 threw the fifth one into the mix, and that is the Muslim world. And we'll explain a little bit more about that if we have the time at the end, too. But you have 5 competing global factions trying to carve out their position in this new world order as it's being formed, coming at the seat of the new, pulling up their chairs at the table of the new world order. And they're trying to do all they can, literally, to take control and be the kingpin on the top of the heap, as it were. And so when you start to see a lot of these struggles, if you understand that they're trying to carve out control in this process, you're going to understand them a little bit better. Now, another thing that came out of the Commission on Global Governance's report was this. It is necessary to assert the rights and interests of the international community in situations with individual states which the security of the people is extensively endangered. A global consensus exists today for a UN response to the humanitarian grounds in such cases. The Security Council should be authorized to take enforcement action when other methods fail. What happened in Kosovo? Very interesting question. We supposedly went in there to stop the ethnic cleansing, correct? Ethnic cleansing had nothing to do with it whatsoever. In fact, when the FBI went into that following the bombing, they found less than 200 bodies that could be defined as being a result of ethnic cleansing, whereas our bombs itself killed well over 500 civilians. So if anything, Bill Clinton and Javier Solana, who was the General Secretary of NATO at the time, were the guilty parties of ethnic cleansing, not Slobodan Milosevic, even though he's being tried right now at The Hague for crimes against humanity. I'm not any fan of his. He's a rotten man, but nonetheless, we have even worse people here in this country. So what we're seeing here in Kosovo literally is the fulfillment or the first real test of this concept right now of intervention, using the red herring of ethnic cleansing as the excuse. If we were really serious about ethnic cleansing, we'd go into Sudan, where literally 2 million Christians have been slaughtered by their Muslim government, and animists as well, but most of them are Christians. 2 million! And yet, you don't hear a thing about that. I had a map, and I thought I had brought it, but I didn't. I want to just show you a picture of the region of this. Most of our oil comes down from this area right here, but the biggest oil deposits in the world are located in the Caspian Sea area itself. In fact, the largest deposit ever found, reserve ever found, was found 2 years ago in this area of the Caspian Sea. 75 billion barrels of oil. That's much larger than what they had found 25 years ago in Saudi Arabia and so forth. And as a consequence, having access to this oil is probably driving much of what we're seeing going on in the Mideast, including Afghanistan and Kosovo. Because what was attempted at that time was a pipeline that was being built, and you'll have to excuse me because it doesn't go far enough here, but a new pipeline being built across Georgia and Azerbaijan to the Black Sea, to Bulgaria, across Kosovo, and Albania to the Adriatic Sea over here. That's what the West was attempting to do. Primarily, the United States and Great Britain were attempting to build this pipeline in 1997, 98, and 99. In 1998, February 12th, the Committee on International Relations of the United States House of Representatives said this: the U.S. policy goals regarding energy resources in Central Asia include breaking Russia's monopoly over oil and gas transport routes. That's why we were trying to build that pipeline. And part of it went through Kosovo. Encouraging the construction of the east-west pipelines that do not transist Iran. We're trying to exclude Iran out of this matrix. Okay? And denying Iran dangerous leverages over the Central Asian economies. So we were trying to exclude Russia and trying to exclude Iran. Now, Russia gets half of its annual export income from the money it earns on this oil transport, because all the current pipelines go north of the Caucasus Mountains through Russia. Now, do you think Russia is just going to sit still and let the United States take its oil away from them? Well, Slobodan Milosevic knows this. And so he refused to allow an easement through Kosovo. And about 4 or 5 months later, the bombing started. Interesting, isn't it? It had all to do about oil, geopolitics. That's what Kosovo was all about, establishing the right of the international community to intervene in the sovereign rights of individual nations. That's what it was all about, and it worked beautifully.